Scars new and old. That seems to be the theme for the 7th episode of The Bad Batch. Wrecker's fear of heights, Omega's fear of abandonment, and Rex's fear of losing complete control are all on full display in ways both subtle and explicit. It makes for a taut, high-stakes, well-paced episode that seems almost at odds with the more relaxed episodes we've gotten recently.
After running to their old friend Rex, in a fun scene in Sid's bar, by the way, and I think it's a safe bet that Bolo and Ketch are going to stay away from clones from now on.
Probably.
Our main characters are forced to confront the state of the galaxy and figure out what their role is in it. The episode ends with them still on the path to answer that question, but that's okay, because their journey of discovery is part of the reason we tune in every week. Oh, and we finally got confirmation of Gonki as the official nickname for the Batch's power droid, although that's something that you might only have noticed through watching with the subtitles on. So I think one of the first things that jumped out, especially when I watched this, I mean, it was great to see Rex. I was hoping we'd see him. I did not expect to see him so soon in the 7th episode. But why is he wearing his armor on Ord Mantell? I mean, you know, especially then he's got it covered with a tunic because he's trying to blend in and be subtle. Yet you're wearing this not only clone trooper armor, but clone trooper armor which very specifically marks you as like an ARC trooper of the 501st type of thing. So it's not the best way.
He's got the same helmet paint job. He's got his
and
pauldron and everything. Yeah.
Like I mean, I totally get it when he's walking when he's walking the other planet, but when they're trying to blend in Ord Mantell. So all I could figure out thinking about it was it's perhaps a behind the scenes issue. They just a budgetary issue. They have the model already made. It's easy to put something on it than try to remake a whole other model for the character. Plus, I guess it did help people who were not as familiar recognize, hey,
to identify
this is Rex.
Yep.
But still, in terms of espionage, what the hell, Rex? You're smarter than that.
And that continues with his, you know, it was really cool to see him with the same ship. Good little throwback to that's the same ship he stole at the end of the Clone Wars.
Oh, the final okay.
But once again, you know, those are clearly identified as rebel ships. You know, that's even at this time, and he's still got it painted in the same colors as his uniform. So it's like that's Rex's Y-wing. So I think it's funny that they haven't, you know, painted that over. At least added some modifications to the ship to make it, you know, a bit more subtle.
The other thing I like too, and to me, in some ways, it's a callback to A New Hope, but it was, to me at least, a much cooler scene than what we saw in A New Hope, which was the Dianoga trap.
Yes.
So poor Wrecker, with his fear of heights, has still got to come across that cable, and the poor bastard, he just falls into just a monster Dianoga, not a, you know, tiny one like the one they had at the Death Star, but like an actual just giant one.
And it's just another funny thing. Like, is that going to be? He's no longer afraid of heights, but he's now afraid of water. Because is that going to be the new running joke? You know, it's no longer, oh, damn heights. It's, oh, water. Poor Wrecker, you know, biggest, toughest guy around, but doesn't get the best luck sometimes.
He doesn't. So in terms of connections, the big one we've already touched on is the fact that Rex is here, which is amazing. But the reason why I bring this up again is the fact that one thing at least I'd forgotten about until I saw this, Rex is one of the few blonde-haired clones we have seen, other than Omega. And so, I mean, honestly, it's a recessive gene in the template because, you know, we've never seen a blonde-haired Fett. But Rex is blonde. And odd tangent, with my colorblindness and the way the animation is rendered, sometimes I forget he's blonde. I think he's actually just shaving his head.
Yep.
But it was very honest to me this time, and it was kind of neat to see two blonde clones running around.
And, you know, that's be another thing going back to our last point. Might be a good idea to dye that hair a different color because probably identifies you pretty clearly as Rex, along with the armor. But another great connection from this episode was the planet Bracca, which you know, hasn't really shown up too much in the movies or the TV series, but is a central location of Jedi Fallen Order, which is a fantastic PC, PlayStation, Xbox game based in the Star Wars universe. So yeah, that was a nice little like deeper connection, I think, between that.
And which is cool too, because actually I love the fact that it was a junk planet.
Yep.
There's all sorts of things you tell they were kind of just running around and scurrying through stuff. So
yeah, and it really reminded me a lot of where we first meet Rey. You know, we first meet Rey going through another junk planet essentially. So I think it's, you know, it makes sense that they have these all over the Star Wars universe, but it's cool to explore one and, you know, take a look at it that way.
Damn scary. For me, hands down, my favorite moment was the incredibly tense scene where Wrecker finally succumbs to the programming of his inhibitor chip and tries to hunt down Omega. I think the lighter tone of the past couple of episodes have sort of bought the allowance for us to have this darker, more tension-filled approach. There's even a completely silent beat before the music takes on a more brutal tone, and we hear Wrecker say, in very serious tones, "You are in direct violation of Order 66." And everything from then until he was finally taken down by Rex, it was just this tense, tightly plotted sequence that I loved. Now, I also have to wonder if this changes how the Batch will react to Crosshair next time they see him, because they may have a different understanding of why he turned on them. And just to cheat, I'm going to throw an honorable mention out there, which is just when they first walked in to the vendor med bay, and Tech goes, "I would no longer call this medical bay a sterile environment." That was just
absolutely. My favorite one was kind of, it's more of the episode as a whole. And it was the whole thing with Rex being the world's worst spy, espionage 101, change your hair, change your outfit, and drive something that's not, obviously something you would drive.
Yeah.
So I think that was overall a kind of hilarious moment for me, whereas I don't know if they're doing it on purpose. Maybe it's because he's a clone and he's not, he was never trained for espionage. But I thought it was just very, very funny.
It's a classic example of, here are the things you do not do.
Exactly.
When you're starting your espionage career.
And it's everything Rex does. At least he wears the cloak for a little bit, but he quickly removes that, and then all pretenses of espionage go out the window.
That's true.
One of the predictions from our episode 5 recap did turn out being slightly wrong on this one. We were banking on the Batch having to infiltrate Camino to get the chip out of Wrecker's head. Not only did they not have to do that, but they specifically called out the idea as being a bad idea. So I think it's funny that we came up with a terrible idea and the writers noticed this and chose a much better result.
But that's why they're the tactical geniuses and we're the commentators.
Exactly.
However, Brendan's prediction from our episode 6 recap was absolutely spot on. Trace and Rafa were indeed working for Rex, and the series does not leave that plotline dangling. One episode later, and the revelation is front and center.
Yeah, and I think it was a great use of bringing him now early in the series. So hopefully we can make that connection back with him later on
and build off on your forward and such.
Exactly.
Absolutely. In terms of predictions for forthcoming episodes, though, one thing that I think is that this planet, Bracca, is going to definitely figure into the next episode. Either our heroes, the Bad Batch, will not have escaped from it by the time the Imperials show up, or they will have gone, but as we like to call them, the Batter Batch, Crosshair and his squad, is going to show up on that planet, look for clues to try to take them down.
Yeah, just being like one step behind the point. And I think something that might lead to that is Sid. I'm getting some bad vibes about Sid and her intentions being purely honorable. And I think that, for me, it was this episode when they're meant to get their pay, and it's clearly she's screwing them on the pay. She's not giving them their third. They're getting a couple pieces out of 100. It looked like.
Yeah, because we see the entire case open. And it's not she just picks up just a couple of them and hands that over. So
yeah, so I think that Sid might double cross them. That could be how the Batter Batch finds them. But we'll have to wait and see.
But in the meantime, thank you for watching our recap, and hope you're enjoying both the TV show Bad Batch and our discussions and reflections on what is happening. I'm Michael.
I'm Brendan.
And remember, never tell us the odds.
I think it was great.